We are one sleep away from the Rams-Lions Sunday Night Football showdown, and we have everything you need to know. Bold predictions, key matchups, a last-minute injury update. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and join the party. Just past 14,000 subs. It's the fastest growing Rams YouTube channel, so hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. Also, give me your score predictions for tomorrow's Sunday night showdown, Rams-Lions, the rematch in the D. Let me know down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. Bleacher Report, Dodgers Nation, 24/7 Sports, Sports Illustrated. Now the Rams for Locked On. And today I'm flying solo, and we are breaking down this Week 1 matchup. On today's episode, we got bold predictions, we got key matchups, keys to a Rams victory, an injury update that we need to dive into. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but to me, this feels like Christmas Eve. I'm going to leave some beer and nachos out tonight for Santa Claus because we are just Deshaun Jackson, Matt Gay, Darion Kendrick, Rampage, the Rams mascot days away from the Rams opening game. The Rams taking on the Lions, the showdown in Motown, the marquee game, 5:20 Pacific on Sunday Night Football on NBC. All eyes will be on your Los Angeles Rams tomorrow night, and we have so much to get into, and we're going to start with an injury update. Now, just a rewind from a couple days ago, the biggest news on the injury front this week was that the Rams placed cornerback Darius Williams on the IR. So that means that the Rams won't have him back in the fold until at the very least after Week 4. So he has to miss the first 4 weeks of the season, and my take on that is, look, let's see how this goes. Hopefully everything's going to be just fine, but if there's anything lingering, the Rams do have a Week 6 bye. So maybe you miss the Week 5 matchup, you come back after the bye, and then you're good to go for the rest of the season. Because, look, Darius Williams, he was one of the big offseason pickups for the Rams. They signed him on a 3-year, $22.5 million deal, $3.5 million signing bonus, $7 million guaranteed. The AAV at $7.5 million. That was one of their big ticket items this offseason. But the truth of the matter is he can't help this team unless he's at full strength. And you don't want him to be nursing an injury throughout this season. And you look at the cornerback situation right now, you've had injuries. Darion Kendrick, he tears his ACL. That was your CB4. Trey Tomlinson, he's on the IR as well. So you got 3 cornerbacks, and you also have Trey White coming back from multiple seasons dealing with injuries, from an ACL to an Achilles. And you look at where the cornerbacks are at right now, you got Trey White. You got Cobie Durant, who's been banged up a little bit. He should be good to go on Sunday. Quentin Lake, Russ Yeast, and then you got some UDFAs, Josh Wallace and Charles Woods at the CB spot. So these guys are going to need to step up, and you're going to need Darius Williams back at some point this season to really solidify this cornerbacks group. But ultimately, I think the Rams are going to be just fine because with Chris Shula's defense, you are going to see White and Durant and Lake, and they are going to be playing in dime with some 3 safety looks. And as long as you have 3 cornerbacks that can get the job done, they can absolutely carry the load while Darius Williams is getting healthy. So that's the number one thing for me. Is he's got to get back to as close to 100% as possible, because when he gets back, you want him to stay back and avoid any lingering injuries throughout this season. But let's be honest, it has been weird. It's been weird this season during training camp because, now you lose your first cornerback on the depth chart in Darius Williams. You lose your CB4 with an ACL injury in Darion Kendrick. You got your left guard and your center flipping positions a couple weeks before the opener in Jonah Jackson and Steve Avila. There's been some weirdness. You had the contract stuff with Stafford early in training camp, but having said all that, I don't think that's going to be any indication at all as to what kind of season the Rams are going to have. That's not going to bleed into the regular season. Teams deal with injuries, teams deal with contract issues, and it's the Los Angeles Rams. They are all about the regular season. And yes, you can go all the way back to the Aaron Donald retirement and how you have to recalibrate expectations because of that. But you have to trust this organization because there's a lot of organizations in the National Football League that think they know what they're doing, that think they know what they're doing with player personnel and signings and coach hirings. But guess what they usually skip? That's winning a Lombardi trophy, winning a Super Bowl. Your Los Angeles Rams have reached the heights that most teams never get to, especially in this era, and that's win a championship. And when they don't win a championship, what do? Well, they either get to the Super Bowl, they get deep into the playoffs, they make the playoffs, and save for 1 year where they were decimated by injuries, this Rams organization, led by Sean McVay and Les Snead, has gone deep into the postseason, or at the very least made it to the playoffs. And I think with the roster as it is and the championship window with Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and these young emerging players like Kobe Turner, very high on guys like Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, and we'll see what they can do in year one. But they definitely have talent to get it done this season. So for all the Rams fans out there that are panicking because of how this training camp has gone, look, flush it. It's about the regular season now. Now, as far as the other big news when it comes to the injury front, that is on Rob Havenstein. Now, Rob Havenstein still isn't a lock to play on Sunday, but the Rams haven't ruled him out. Now, if he does have to miss the game, expect to see Warren McClendon Jr. in there at right tackle. So we'll see. I mean, he was limited in practice this week for 3 consecutive practices. And the thing about Havenstein is he's been in this organization for a very long time. Since 2015, a Badger out of Wisconsin. He's been a rock for this organization. Make no mistake about it. And he's a veteran, too. So I think that he knows his body. He knows what he's capable of. If he's not in there, it's for a legitimate reason. But I feel in my heart of hearts he gives it a go because he's a veteran. He knows how important this game is for this team, getting off to a great start, beating a team that could make it to the Super Bowl. The Lions are the sexy pick to make it to the Super Bowl. So I feel like Rob Havenstein's going to play. Now, as far as Puka Nacua and Jonah Jackson, Sean McVay said that both of them plus Cobie Durant were full participants throughout the last couple of practices this week, and that they are expected to give it a go on Sunday. So on the injury front, the big question mark right now is Rob Havenstein. Will he be in there? If not, it's going to be Warren McClendon Jr. Whoever's in that spot is going to be dealing with Aiden Hutchinson, who is an absolute game wrecker, not just getting to the quarterback and applying pressure, but also in stopping the run. So whoever's in there is going to have their work cut out for them, and that has to be under consideration as well. Because if you don't have a Rob Havenstein at 100% and you're dealing with one of the best pass rushers in the sport, it's not really a soft landing when you're coming off of an injury. But we'll see tomorrow who's going to be in there, and I hope Rob Havenstein gives it a go. Hey, Rob, you can take my right ankle. There it is. It's all yours, my man. But coming up next, we are getting into the keys to a Rams victory. What do the Rams need to do to beat the Lions on Sunday? Got some bold predictions, got some matchups we're going to get into, and a Super Bowl prediction later in the show. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And a friendly reminder that today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book because it's incredibly fun. You can take all the best parts of football and make it about you and make some money along the way. Whether you're talking about team totals, player props, money lines, all the different things that you have at FanDuel. But this is a little bit different. We have something a little different this year. Right now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. If you've never had the Sunday Ticket, you don't know what you're missing. It's the best thing on earth. It's all football all the time, and all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. It's easy too. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sports book for a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. And also, if you have not joined that Everyday Listeners Club, today is the day. Just listen or watch 5 episodes a week, and you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. All right, here in our second segment, we're going to get into this matchup. We're going to do some keys to victory, and then we are going to hit some key matchups. Now, the #1 key to victory, after rewatching that wild card game probably 5 to 6 times now, don't ask me why, kind of a masochist when it comes to losses. You just want to see why they lost that game. If you could pin it down to 1 or 2 things, one of them would have to be the Rams' lack of success in the red zone. The Rams were 0-3 in the red zone back in that January loss to the Lions. And the Lions, they scored TDs on all of their red zone trips. So that was the difference in the game. Lions, they cashed in. They capitalized on being in the red zone. The Rams, they just didn't. If the Rams scored one time, one touchdown in the red zone, they win that game. And who knows what happens next? They were a surprise team, surprise 10-win team. A lot of people thought they were tanking for Caleb Williams. I told you that was completely bogus and baloney. And they could have advanced and, hey, I would like their chances moving forward. But the key to me there is you have to lean on the running game and Kyren Williams and Blake Corum and take advantage of that 1-2 punch. In this revamped offensive line, you re-signed Kevin Dotson. You bring in Jonah Jackson as your big offseason free agent acquisition. Steve Avila, I think, has future all-pro potential. And yes, Joe Noteboom at left tackle, Rob Havenstein or a banged-up Rob Havenstein or a Will McClendon Jr. at right tackle, sure, you've been in better shape along your tackle spots, but still, Sean McVay and Mike LaFleur need to commit to the run because that was one of the biggest takeaways, like I said. It wasn't just that they went 0-for-3 in the red zone. It was the play calling. It was too many passes, too many fades. You need to just commit to the run because that's going to be a part of the Rams' identity this season, is pounding the rock, going with the gap scheme, the duo. I mean, it's a much more physical style of running game that we've seen in the Sean McVay era, and that has been the evolution of McVay, and I think that is one of the big learning lessons from that loss in the wild card game last season. Now, second big key to victory, and it relates to the first one, is Kyren Williams. I can't say it loud enough. It can't be overstated. Kyren Williams is the glue to the Rams offense. Yes, you have the shiny Puka Nacua that you found. He was the gem in last year's draft. Yes, Cooper Kupp, we know what he's capable of when he's at 100%. We know Matthew Stafford, his arm takes a backseat to no one in this league as far as I'm concerned. But when it comes to stacking dubs, Kyren Williams is that guy. Last season, when Kyren Williams got 15 or more carries in a game, the Rams were 8-1. Now, what was that one loss that the Rams suffered where Kyren Williams got 15 or more carries? It was against the Baltimore Ravens in overtime, on the road, in pouring down rain. They still almost won that game. Now, when Kyren Williams gets less than 15 carries, well, last season, the Rams were 0-3. And when he was out with the injury, the Rams, they were 1-3. And the only game they won was a 1-point win over the Seahawks at home. Kyren Williams is the glue to this Rams offense. He is important, and the run game as a whole is going to really determine whether or not this team is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. So pound the rock with Kyren. Let's see what we have with Blake Corum. I want to see a big game out of him. Hey, it's a homecoming, right? He won the national championship last year against Washington for the Michigan Wolverines. A nice little homecoming. I know there's going to be a lot of Wolverine fans in the stands. Probably not very happy since they got absolutely smoked by Texas at home. But still, I think that is the biggest key right there. You got to give him all the opportunities to make big plays, make big runs, and that really is the biggest difference between Sean McVay than the last couple of seasons. I mean, you added Michael LaFleur. He's someone that knows how to establish the run. You add the gap duo, the gap scheme, and look, that is what you want to see now in modern football. More of a physical style of run game, and they certainly established that last season. So let's pick up where you left off with that. And then 3, how about Puka up right where you left off? Puka Nacua, is he for real? I think he is. I think that this is not someone who's a sophomore slump candidate. People think he's a flash in the pan, that defenses are going to scheme for him. Look at the offseason he had. He was a workout freak with Cooper Kupp. He leaned up. He did everything from a film room study standpoint to put himself in the best position to build on last season. And he's someone else where you can look at his productivity and directly link it with Rams wins or losses. Last season, when he had 3 receptions or less, the Rams were 0-2 and lost by at least 20 points. When he had 4, the Rams were 4-0. 6 or more catches, though, Rams were 3-3, but you got to look at those losses because the losses, they were without Cooper Kupp and Kyren Williams in all those games except for the loss to the Eagles at home. So he can't do it all by himself. So feed Puka Nacua. I'm so excited for his sophomore season because I think this is the year where if he puts together another really, really solid season, I definitely think there's a really good chance that him and Cooper Kupp can both have 1,000-yard plus seasons. Look, the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, he's a different type of receiver because he's big and physical. So feed Puka Nacua. And the 4th big key to a Rams victory, and this might be the most important, is limit Jared Goff over the middle. Goff was cooking over the middle during that wild card game. He had a 116.5 passer rating on throws from 0 to 10 yards. League average was 90.5 last season. From 10 to 20 yards, that passer rating was 125. League average was 85.7. From 20 plus over the middle, it went down to 56.3, with league average being 82.4. So that is his sweet spot. He likes to find guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like tight end Sam Laporta, like Jahmyr Gibbs, and that is going to be the key. And I think that you look at the Rams linebackers right now with Troy Reeder, it's definitely going to be difficult. There's no doubt about it. With the linebackers that they have, you definitely have to find some schemes. I think this is where the safeties come into play and how Chris Shula utilizes them. But, yeah, that's definitely going to be a soft spot in coverage in the defense. You got Omar Spades, who definitely was one of the big stars during training camp and one of the reasons why, frankly, they're okay with trading Ernest Jones for a bag of chips, essentially. It's because of his athleticism, but I mean, you got Christian Roseboom. I mean, it's definitely going to be one of the defining parts of that game is can you limit Jared Goff? I think the best way to do it is find a way to get pressure with your front 4. Can they win their one-on-ones when they're given those opportunities? Can Byron Young get home? Can Jared Verse have a really, really good first game as a rookie? Can he show out? Cobie Turner, 9 sacks as a rookie. I think he just should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year, but you have to mention it, no Aaron Donald. So we just don't know what the pressure is going to look like when some of these players that had success last season, because of Aaron Donald attracting so much attention, getting doubled and triple teamed, that definitely was a factor. I believe in those guys. I think they're extremely talented. I think Cobie Turner is going to make the Pro Bowl this season, but that is the big key. Can you pressure Goff up the middle so he doesn't have all day to find his talented, skilled guys in Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown beating you over the middle? Now, next big key is let's get someone other than Puka Nacua to step up. Let's get someone other than a Cooper Kupp to step up or Kyren Williams. And I think the emphasis is going to be how do you stop Puka Nacua? Because Puka Nacua went off in the wild card game last year. And then Cooper Kupp is healthy and it's week 1. So they're going to definitely zero in on those two guys. And I'm looking at Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson was fantastic when he got more opportunities last year and he supplanted Tutu Atwell as the Rams' number 3 receiver. Can Demarcus Robinson, who they love, who they brought back, can he take advantage of those opportunities. I certainly like him in one-on-one spots, especially in the red zone. So I want to see Demarcus Robinson come up and make some big plays. I mean, when he was targeted, he made his catches, and he's got chemistry with Matthew Stafford, and he's someone that has a nose for the end zone as well. So I want to see Demarcus Robinson step up and someone other than some of the superstars making big plays. And then we look at the matchups. The matchups in this one, I mean, Quentin Lake versus Amon St. Brown is going to be one to get your popcorn ready for. Because St. Brown, he's not just a slot receiver. I mean, he really mixes it up from inside and is a boundary receiver. So it's not just slot. I know a lot of people think that, but that's not the case. But Lake really was solid against him the last time they faced each other in that wild card game. He gave up just one catch on 2 targets for 11 yards. The ones who got torched by St. Brown, that was Akella Witherspoon and Michael Hoyt. They allowed 99 yards. So Lake did his job. Can he do it again? That's a big question. And I think really you don't try to stop him. You're not going to completely stop him, but can you minimize it? Can you try to at least contain him and try to limit the damage? And second big key matchup, how about Jared Verse versus Penei Sewell? And that is a tough matchup for a rookie, especially in the edge rusher spot. And Sewell, he's one of the best right tackles in the game. I mean, he allowed just 2 pressures when the teams face each other in the wild card round and an overall grade on PFF of 92.8. So he was dominant. He limited the pass rush. And that's going to be Jared Verse's spot, because last year we saw Byron Young. He was mainly rushing from the right side. So Verse, he's mainly going to be rushing from the left side, and that's where you're going to see Sewell. So I'm excited to see how Jared Verse fares. I mean, that's really, one of the biggest things I'm looking for in week 1. If Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are the real deal, and it's evident after one game that they're going to have that high ceiling and be potential foundational players that can help this team win in year 1, that's going to go a long way to get me to stop waking up at 3:30 in the morning in a cold sweat and thinking about this defense without Aaron Donald. So I definitely looking at Jared Verse. And then another big matchup, Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua versus Terrion Arnold. So Terrion Arnold, if you guys remember back during the draft, I was very high on him, cornerback out of Alabama. And it's the same situation for them. They don't think they can stop Puka Nacua, but you want to limit it. You want to try to limit the damage and contain him. And Puka, he went off. I mean, 181 yards and 9 grabs the last time he faced the Lions. And I think for Puka, it's about, hey, use your strength, use your physicality, and finding a way to beat him from that standpoint as well. Hey, make this rookie pay. The next one, how about Cooper Kupp versus Brian Branch? So Cooper Kupp versus Brian Branch could determine the game, too, on offense as well, because Arnold and Davis, they're going to be on the outside, and you're going to see Kupp against Branch in the slot. Now, just like St. Brown, Kupp is not just in the slot. They move him around. They mix it up depending on the formation. But the best version of Cooper Kupp is in the slot. And I think especially the best version of Kupp at this stage of his career is doing damage in the slot. You also get his impact as a blocker, but seeing him on some crossers, seeing him get going there where we've seen him have so much success in the past. And Branch, he gave just 1 catch for 4 yards when he was defending Cooper Kupp. And in the game, he gave just 4 catches for 27 yards. So he played very, very well. So we'll see, does a healthier version of Cooper Kupp exploit that matchup and win that matchup? And then the next one, this is tough too, because there's some uncertainty about which Ram we'll see playing right tackle, who will be starting. We don't know yet. But whether it's Rob Havenstein or Warren McClendon Jr., you're going up against a beast in Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson has established himself as one of the elite pass rushers in the sport already. And the wild card game, he showed up too, and he was an absolute beast. He had 9 pressures. That was a team high. He had 2 sacks. He had 5 QB hits and 2 TFLs. So he really had his best game as a pro against the Rams in their last matchup. And whoever's there at right tackle is going to have their work cut out for him, and Rob Havenstein and Warren McClendon Jr. When he was defending Cooper Kupp, and in the game, he gave just 4 catches for 27 yards. So he played very, very well. So we'll see, does a healthier version of Cooper Kupp exploit that matchup and win that matchup? And then the next one, this is tough too, because there's some uncertainty about which Ram we'll see playing right tackle, who will be starting. We don't know yet. But whether it's Rob Havenstein or Warren McClendon Jr., you're going up against a beast in Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson has established himself as one of the elite pass rushers in the sport already. And the wild card game, he showed up too, and he was an absolute beast. He had 9 pressures. That was a team high. He had 2 sacks. He had 5 QB hits and 2 TFLs. So he really had his best game as a pro against the Rams in their last matchup. And whoever's there at right tackle is going to have their work cut out for him, and Rob Havenstein and Warren McClendon Jr. So, yeah, everything points to the Lions taking this one. They're at home. They have the matchup advantage with some of the injuries. But will the Rams win on Sunday? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Anytime you want to hire someone for a job, you get lots of people that apply, but you want to find the right candidates, the superstar candidates. They're going to help your company. They're going to be with you for a long time. LinkedIn Jobs helps you do just that. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So every single expert out there that has predicted this game has the Lions winning, some handily. I'm here to tell you the Rams win week 1 by a final score of 27-20. It's going to be another nail-biter, another potentially instant classic, but I like Sean McVay having an entire offseason to prepare. I like this Rams team having that bad taste in their mouth and going back to the scene of the crime in Detroit to try to avenge their loss. Now, since 2017, the Rams are 6-1 in openers. Only loss coming in 2022 when they lost to the Bills on ring night there, 31-10. But Sean McVay, small sample size, 2-1 all time against the Lions, and it's going to come down to, can this defense show us something? Because we just have no idea how they're going to look without Aaron Donald, how these rookies are going to perform. I think the running game, too, if you want to throw in another key in there. Last season, this Detroit Lions team, they were 5th in the NFL in rushing, and they were also 2nd when it comes to rush defense. So if you can establish something on the ground against this team, it's going to be a really good sign for what's to come. But we know week 1 lies. We know that it's not an indication that you are going to have a good season because you win in week 1. Some look at it as the 4th preseason game. But this Rams team, with the high character guys, with this group, with the quarterback advantage, I still think Matthew Stafford is a superior quarterback to anything that Jared Goff has become with the Lions. And I respect Jared Goff. I really, really do. I mean, they're pretty equal. I mean, they were actually tied for 7th with 7.6 yards per attempt last season. Goff had 610 more passing yards, but yards per attempt, it was dead even. Stafford threw 11 picks. Goff threw 12. Goff had 30 TDs. Stafford had 24. So the numbers were pretty close. Goff actually has a 2-1 matchup advantage as far as wins and losses against Matthew Stafford. So Stafford is really going to go to Detroit and lose there twice. He needs this win. The Rams need this win. Everything they've dealt with the last couple of weeks, it would all be erased with a week 1 win in Detroit. So give me the Los Angeles Rams by a final score of 27-10 over the Lions. And we'll be here to talk about it after the game on Locked On Rams. But that's going to do it. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, write us a review. Let me know down below, what are your biggest keys to a Rams victory? Give me those score predictions as well. I know you're excited. I can't be more excited. Guys, it's back. Ramley, get ready. It's going to be an exciting year for your Los Angeles Rams. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.